So good morning everyone. I'm sorry for the delay. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS, and in this live session we will be discussing our Indian Express as usual. So in today's newspaper, if you have gone through it, most of the news are kind of you can say political and not much of relevance, but there are certain explained sections which we will be taking, and there is one or two news from the front page which will be important for our discussion. So we will go through that particular news. Okay. So I hope that is clear. So let's start with the today's discussion. Here you can see we'll start with the practice question as usual, and there are 3 to 4 articles which we will discuss that is related to your monsoon. First, that is our institutions has predicted that this time monsoon will be more than, or you can say above normal situations, or otherwise you can say that if you have this particular average of last few years, and considering that average, the monsoon will be better than the last years. Okay. Then when we are talking about this strategic location, that is basically Andaman and Nicobar Island, you must have heard that recently we are trying to go for, you can say, upliftment or the strategic you can say increase in the infrastructure over there. So that is why this island has been important recently. So we will be talking about that particular thing. This island has been important from inception, but the thing is we have not given much attention to this island because of certain considerations. We will see why we have not given the attention, and now why we are giving it this attention as of now, and what are the things which can be done. Okay. Then second would be your analyzing Middle East situation. Okay. So you know that when we are talking about this particular Middle East right now, there has been various situation in the area or the region. You must have heard about the Israel Hamas, and recently you must have heard about the Iran situation when Iran has been attacked by some unknown source, because Iran is saying that Israelis have done this attack, but Israelis have not taken the responsibility. Okay. Then when we are talking about the retaliatory action which Iran has taken against the Israel, so all these things are making this particular region, you can say, unstable or unstable. Okay. So we'll be discussing about these things, and we will see what are the impacts of this particular situation on our country, on our economic trade or our oil situations. Okay. Then around the world we will see this particular article. There are 3 to 4 articles which we will be discussing under this particular heading, and then for your own read there will be one article and there will be a practice question in the last. Okay. So let's start. Here you can see this is the front page, and here above normal rainfall in the most parts of the country, IMD monsoon forecast is saying this particular thing. So we will be discussing this particular article, and then there is this ending poll bonds pushes country to black money, all will regret, says PM. Okay. We will not go into details of this particular thing because election bonds or this particular bonds we have already discussed so many times that going into details will be waste of time. Okay. If you have not watched it, you can go through the thumbnails and you can watch the electoral bond related issues. Okay. Now let's start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Now this question was quite important, or you can say quite confusing over here, because they have asked you about a particular species of turtle, or you can say a particular turtle. Okay. That is Mohan Babu. It is in the Baneshwar village. There is a Shiva temple and it is present over there. Okay. Now why is Mohan Babu culturally significant in the Baneshwar village? Okay. Options are: it is associated with a 17th century Shiva temple. It is revered as an incarnation of the Hindu deity that is Vishnu. It symbolizes the call to exercise democratic rights, and all of the above. Okay. Now here you can see most appropriate answer we have to go. Okay. So this particular statement is true that 17th century temple is there. Okay. And because of that particular temple, it is this particular species has been present over there, and the locals thinks that it is you can say incarnation of Lord Vishnu or deity Vishnu. Okay. So since it is attached to the temple, this statement is true. Second, it is incarnation of Hindu deity Vishnu, that statement is also true. Okay. Now the third is it symbolizes the call to exercise the democratic right. Now you must think that it is a political angle to attach to it and not cultural angle. But again, if you look at it, Election Commission of India has made this particular turtle as a mascot because there is a cultural significance. People are attached to it, and that is why they have gone for this. So this statement is also true because recently we have seen that ECI, Election Commission of India, has made this particular turtle as election mascot in the constituency over there. Okay. So I can say that this all of the above will be your correct answer. Okay. Now you must be confused that they have already they have simply asked you about the cultural significance, but again going for a vote is also part of your culture. Culture is not only your related to your history and art and culture. It can be a normal practice which is involved. Okay, so if you are going for a republic, if there is a culture of people electing people, okay, so that is basically a part of your culture as well. Okay, so all of the above would be your right answer. Now again, if there is a question which is such confusing question in your UPSC prelims examination, so please make sure that you are going for the most appropriate answer. Okay, second thing is please focus on the keywords which are given. Okay, first keyword here is this is culturally significant, second is in Baneshwar village. Okay, so these statements are all of them are correct with respect to both the keywords. Okay, so let's move further with the start of the discussion. 106% of long period average rainfall expected. Okay, so when we are talking about this long period average, so they basically go for a particular last 10 or 20 days 20 years of the, you can say, average. Okay, so basically when we are talking about this particular thing, we are saying that whatever rainfall has happened in the past, we are going for the 106%. Okay, so that is the thing. This time we will see that monsoon will be better than the previous years. Okay, so here you can see above normal rainfalls in the most part of the country. IMD monsoon forecast says this. Now they have said that most parts, and there are certain parts they have said that there will be less rainfall. That is basically your pockets in east, northeast, northwest. Okay, they will see less rainfall. Now again, here if you see northeast, northeast the area is the area wherein you have already seen that there are the rainfall over there has been actually good. Okay, but in the recent years it was the trend that these rainfalls are decreasing in the northeastern region of India. Okay, so please remember that. So if there is a statement which says that trends of rainfall are basically decreasing in northeastern region of India, so you can say that that is true. Earlier it used to be the area of maximum rainfall. You must have heard about the places like Cherrapunji, etc., but recently we have seen that there is a decline. Okay, now India is likely to receive above normal rainfall this monsoon. Indian Meteorological Department has forecasted this. It is expected to get 106% of the long period average, that is LPA rainfall. Okay, except some pockets, that is your northwest, east and northeastern areas of India, where we will see lesser rainfall. And then first time in a decade that IMD has predicted above normal. Okay, in the last decade we have seen that the monsoon will be less than normal. Okay, but the thing is, this is the first time they have said that monsoon will be better than the previous years. Okay, India as a whole normally receive 870 mm of rainfall during the monsoon season. This particular fact you can remember, 870 mm, or you can say that that is 87 centimeters. Okay, now currently the average of 1971 to 2020 period, okay, that is basically your LPA. When we are talking about this long that is your long period average. Okay, now according to the IMD, 96% and the 104% of this 50 years average is considered as normal, less than 90% is considered as deficient. So basically what they are saying that if it is 96% or 104%, let's say 100% is the benchmark. If it is starting from 96% and it is there till 104%, that is your normal rainfall. If it is more than that, this time we are saying that it will go to 106%, so that is above normal, and if that is below than that, that will be your deficient rainfall. Okay, and we are going for the 50 years of average, that is basically your long period average, that is 1971 to 2020 period. Okay, so that is your long period average of 50 years. On the basis of that, we will be deciding that if we are getting the above normal rainfall or below normal. Okay, so please remember these things, that 50 years is there, that time period is 1971 to 2020. Okay, and this particular fact that if there is a buffer of 4%, plus minus 4% from the 100% benchmark, then it will be considered normal, and if it is above 104%, that is your above normal. Okay, now why it is happening? So there are certain factors, or you can say that recently you must have heard that El Nino phenomena is weakening in the Pacific Ocean. When we are talking about El Nino is a phenomena wherein the Pacific, or you can say the area of Chile and Peru, they will see a warming. Okay, and because of that warming, the whole situation, or you can say of the monsoon etc., that is also hindered because of that. When we talk about the El Nino, as the El Nino effect increases, the monsoon will get hindered, or you can say you will see a lesser rainfall. Okay, so basically it is having an inverse relation. If El Nino is intense, you will see low rainfall or low monsoon per se. Okay. So now we are saying that this El Nino effect in the Pacific Ocean is basically decreasing, and because of which we will see that we will getting a above normal rainfall. Second thing is the La Nina effect. Okay, that is reverse of your El Nino effect, that is also starting to build up. Okay, so later part of the monsoon season we will see that La Nina will get intense, and because of which we will see more rainfall. Okay, so that is there are two reasons. One is weakening of El Nino in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, because of which likely emergence of La Nina towards the latter half of the season. That is another thing. So El Nino and La Nina in equator Pacific Ocean off the coast of South America, that is basically a part of Chile and Peru. Okay, that corresponds to the above normal warming and cooling of the sea. When we are talking about El Nino, that is basically your above normal warming. Okay, when we are talking about La Nina, that is basically cooling of the seas in that particular area. No doubt that area itself is a cool. When we are talking about the Peru current is a cold current. Okay, but if it is an above normal cooling, okay, then we call it as La Nina. Okay, the surface in that area strongly influence the global weather patterns, okay, including the monsoon. So that is about El Nino and La Nina. El Nino is associated with the suppressed rainfall. As I told you, if El Nino is increasing or getting intense, there will be a low monsoon, or you can say low rainfall. Okay, while La Nina is known to help the rainfall. So that is one thing. Other than that, when we are talking about this El Nino southern oscillations, okay, they are neutral conditions are likely to establish. Okay, now this is ENSO, or you can say this is basically when we are talking about the southern oscillations and the El Nino, if it is the combined effect of that. Okay, then you must have heard of the Indian Ocean dipole. I'm not going into details of this because this is static part. Okay, so please go through your notes if you have read about it. If you have not, then please go and read about it. Okay, now when we are talking about Indian Ocean dipole, you know that that is also a local phenomena wherein the one part of Indian Ocean and second part of Indian Ocean, they have some kind of relations. Okay, and that is impacting your monsoon. Okay, when we are talking about El Nino, if El Nino is there with the Indian Ocean dipole. Okay, so here you can say Indian Ocean dipole, which is the Indian Ocean counterpart of El Nino. Okay, similar things, that warming and cooling of that particular portions of the Indian Ocean. So similarly, as I told you that Pacific, Southern American coast of the Pacific Ocean, if that is getting warmer, okay, so some part in near Australia, that will be getting cooler. Okay, so there is this oscillation over there. And when we are talking about Indian Ocean, similar situations will happen in the Indian Ocean as well. Okay, so that is basically you can say counterpart of El Nino in the Indian Ocean. Okay, so that is also neutral in that particular phase, because when we are talking about the El Nino is having some kind of relation with the Indian Ocean dipole as well. Okay, so both El Nino and Indian Ocean dipole, if they are together, okay, so that if this is positive, then you will see better rainfall. Okay, now here you can see, but the department said that the positive phase of IOD is most likely to emerge during the coming months. When IOD's positive phase is there, we will see better rainfalls. Okay, now during the start of the monsoon season, positive IOD conditions would emerge. Positive phase of IOD is good rainfall all over India. Okay, so that is about your this particular reasons when we are considering the high above normal rainfall. So here you can say that there are three things. One is related to your El Nino, second is related to La Nina, third is related to your Indian Ocean dipole. Okay, dipole. When we are talking about Indian Ocean dipole, if it is positive IOD, then there will be high rainfall. Okay, when we are talking about El Nino, if El Nino is enhanced or intense, then there will be low rainfall. Okay, so I hope this is clear, and that is about the rainfall. More than that, they will not ask you. From this article, you can read 2-3 things that is related to your concept of El Nino, La Nina, Indian Ocean dipole. Okay, then there is this southern oscillations, or you can say El Nino southern oscillation, that is ENSO. Okay, El Nino, ENSO. Okay, these 4-5 things are basically your you can say static portions, and going into these 5 concepts would take you nearly 2 hours. So I will not go into details of it. So please go through these particular things, or otherwise in our in focus series, we have discussed this El Nino concept various times. Okay, so you can go through that particular videos as well. Okay, now moving further to the next article. Now when we are talking about the Andaman and Nicobar through a strategic lens, we are trying to look at this particular area through the strategic lens. Okay, so hold on a second. Okay, so here you can see this is the location of Andaman and Nicobar. Here these are islands, basically your Andaman and Nicobar islands. Okay, this is our Indian subcontinent, and from you can say in the southeast of this particular area we have this Andaman and Nicobar. Now why this is important? Because this is the South Asia, you can say start. It is basically considered as a gateway, or you can say way to Southeast Asia. Okay, now there is important choke point, that is Malacca Strait over here. Okay, this particular part here you can see, that is Malacca Strait. Now Malacca Strait is having a good oil traffic. Okay, and when we are talking about China, most of the China's you can say shipments or to Asia, or you can say Europe, are passing through this particular area. Okay, so that is why this particular strait becomes important for China. Okay, and since it is there, okay, that is important for India as well. It is because India is trying to maintain good ties with the South Asia now. Okay, so that is why this particular choke point is quite important for India as well as China. What China is doing is, China is trying to cover this area, or you can say trying to cover this particular portion of Indian coastline, so that they can have a dominance over here. All these concepts we will be seeing in the next you can say slides, but right now let's come to this particular part. India have a look east policy. Okay, we are trying to focus on our Southeast Asia. Okay, when we are talking about this look east policy, it was in 1990s. Okay, then we have come up with the act east policy recently. After you can say in 2014 onwards, we have come up with the act east policy. Okay, now when we are talking about act east policy, the area of focus has increased till the far east of Russia as well. Okay, so we can say that this particular policy has expanded its area of influence. Okay, and this is important for various reasons. First of all, having a sway in the region. Second, when we are talking about the northeastern region of India, so connectivity is quite important over there. For that also this is important. Other than that, having a good relation with the ASEAN country, that is why this particular area has been important. Now in that particular place we have this Port Blair, or you can say Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and that is why this area becomes important for us. Okay, it is having a tri-service command as well. Okay, now in 2001 we have come up with this particular concept of tri-service command over here, but when we are talking about the capacity development, that was not very much in that particular region. Okay, now let's see. India's look east policy into a robust east that has converted into a robust act east policy. Okay, it is saying that it is a critical importance of the ocean power. Okay, so this is the area ocean when we are talking about, that is one thing. Okay, so we are trying to, what we are trying to do is, we are going to strong our maritime security. So from the maritime security point of view, that particular area is important. Other than that, in this area, as I told you, China is trying to have a sway in this particular area. So Chinese Navy, or you can say PLA Navy, is trying to have a sway in this particular area, and to counter that, this particular area becomes important for us. Okay, now what we are trying to do here is that we are trying to create civil as well as military infrastructure in Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, so that is what is important. When we are talking about Andaman and Nicobar, it is a group of more than 700 islands. Okay, it is a group of more than 700 islands, and nearly 36 islands are inhabited. Other are all remote islands. Okay, so since other are remote islands, there can be an opportunity for the you can say antisocial elements to get you can say some kind of illegal activities over there. So that is one thing. Other than that, also when we are talking about the PLA's influence, which is increasing in that area, considering that, it is important for us to have a surveillance and in that particular remote islands as well. Okay, so that is why we are considering to go for the strengthening of the you can say our infrastructure over there. Okay, so what is the strategic importance of the Andaman and Nicobar here? Okay, so there are various ports. Okay, that is Sabang. Here you can see. We will start with the Myanmar. We have this Sitwe port, and then when we go little south, there is this Kra Canal, which is basically your trying to connect this portion of Southeast Asia with the Indian Ocean. Okay, so you can say that South China Sea or the Pacific Ocean is connected to the Indian Ocean through this Kra Canal. Now this is the proposed canal. Okay, Thailand has proposed it, but the thing is, it is not yet operated. So there are chances that they will go for another alternate route as well. But the thing is, if that canal is opened, okay, So this area becomes even more important. Then China don't have to rely only on the Malacca Strait. There can be another option available for China. Okay, so considering that this particular place is important, then when we are talking about Malacca Strait is here, then Sabang port in Indonesia, there is this port, that is Sabang. Okay, then there is the the various port of Singapore, etc., that are also there. Okay, so Malacca Strait, Sabang port, Coco Island. Okay, here you can say in the northern part of Andaman and Nicobar, this is your Andaman Nicobar. Over here in the northern part, there is this Coco Island that is under the sovereignty of Myanmar. Okay, please remember that Coco Island is not of India, it is of Myanmar, but it is part of your Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. In the topmost there is this Coco Island. Okay, I have told you about the Coco Island, Cocos Island, and Cocos Island are at two places. One is near Australia, second is near in the Caribbean region. Okay, so please remember that, don't get confused. This is Coco Island. Okay, so that is your Coco Island. Then Kra Canal we have already discussed. Okay, so now these are some islands which are important, and since other than that, also as I have told you, there is this string of pearls. Okay, I'll show you the map. I guess I have. Okay, fine. Here you can see China is trying to build you can say kind of in a way they are trying to surround the Indian subcontinent in a way. So here you can say that there is this Coco Island. China is trying to have a sway on the Coco Island. Okay, that is one Coco Island here. Then there is this Chittagong port of Bangladesh. Then in Hambantota, already you know that it is on the 99 years of lease with the China. It is a Sri Lankan port. Okay, then we have Maldives. Now recently you must have heard that Maldives is under the sway of China. Okay, so there is this Marau port over here, and then we have this Djibouti in the African continent. Okay, so that is also, China is also having a base over here, and here we have this Gwadar port that is of Pakistan in the Balochistan area. So basically this Gwadar port is also under the sway of China, because they are trying to build infrastructure over there. Okay, so this is how they are trying to surround India in this particular region. Now in response to that, India has come up with their own strategy, that is basically your necklace of diamond. Okay, so here you can see necklace of diamond. In that we are going to build some good relations with the countries of that particular area. Here you can say we have good relations with Japan, we have good relations with Vietnam, then we have good relations with Singapore. We are trying to have good relations with the Indonesia, Myanmar, etc. Then there is this Assumption Island. Okay, so we have this agreements with respect to this particular island, and with the respect to Sabang port as well. Okay, then we have Dokam in Oman, which is having, you can say that we have a presence in Oman as well. And then we have this Chabar port that is in Iran, that is basically a infrastructure port, you can say, which has a multimodal connection to the Central Asia, as well as if we are talking about the Middle East and the Europe, so that port becomes important. Okay, then we are trying to have a good relations with Mongolia. So ultimately you can see that we are also trying to cover all these areas, so that we can, you can say, cover China as well. Okay, so that is one thing, that is a very aspiring, or you can say very huge project for us to go for. But again, this is the, you can say, way, or you can say a strategy which India, or you can say some scholars have talked about it. Okay, then there is this double fish hook strategy of India. Double fish hook, you can say that is one hook, then this is the second hook. Okay, so here also Andaman and Nicobar Island is there, Sabang, Indonesia. Then we have Cocos killing in that Myanmar. Then here you can say this is Cocos Island, not Coco Island. Okay, this is your Cocos Island, that is basically Kneeling Island in Australia. As I told you, one island is there in Andaman and Nicobar, top of the Andaman Nicobar, that is Coco Island, that is of Myanmar, and this is Cocos Island basically in Keeling Island, you can say, that is in Australia. Okay, then Diego Garcia, Mauritius, French territories of you can say Reunion Islands. So all these areas also we are trying to have a sway in that particular area. So that is basically a double hook strategy by India. Okay, so we are trying to cover China from the outer sides. Okay, so that is two strategies which are against the string of pearls. Okay, now moving back to the article. Okay, So these things we have already discussed. Okay, now Andaman and Nicobar is you can say a base which is the first responder in that particular area if someone from the eastern side attack on our sovereignty. So Andaman and Nicobar can be the area which can be the first responder, and that is why having infrastructure over there is quite important. Okay, so share 4 of the international maritime zone, this area, because there are various countries nearby. So we have Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, Bangladesh. They are also having their exclusive economic zone in that particular area. Okay, but since the presence of this Andaman and Nicobar over here, India gets an advantage that they are also getting some exclusive economic zone in that particular region. Otherwise our EEZ would have been limited to this particular area. Okay, so this advantage has been given by the Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, then when we are talking about a build-up of Chinese maritime forces in this particular eastern choke point, that is basically your Strait of Malacca. Other than that, also there are some names which are given over here, that is Malacca between Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula, then Sunda Strait, that is between Java and Sumatra, Lombok between Bali and Lombok, and there is this Ombai waters, which Ombai waters basically of the East Timorian Strait. These are not visible in this particular map, but if you have time, please go through these 4 locations for in your you can say this, that can be your homework. Okay, Andaman and Nicobar should be the first line of offense in that particular area. As I already told you, Andaman and Nicobar Command ANC being constituted as a tri-service command in 2001. As I told you, we have already gone for the making a tri-service command in Andaman and Nicobar in 2001. But again, then after we have not gone for various changes, or you can say upliftment of the infrastructure over here. Why has the pace of development has been slow in that particular area? So there are certain reasons. Like first of all, there is a distance between the mainland and the Andaman and Nicobar. Okay. Second thing is related to your various tribes are living over here, and most of the islands here are uninhabited, and because of which creating infrastructure over there is quite a huge task. Other than that, you can say there are issues related to environment clearances. Okay, because these are forest areas, so environment clearance is quite you can say huge task over here because of the rare tapism, etc. Other than that, there was this political will, or you can say for when we are talking about the long term goals and the short term political goals, most of the time political parties has gone for the consideration of the short term political goals, and all these things are the reason because of which we have not built the infrastructure over here. First is recently this or last one, we can say that is not the least one, but the thing is the importance of this particular area has been realized by us recently when the PLA's actions are increasing in that particular region. Otherwise, earlier we have not thought as significantly of this particular island. Okay, so all these reasons are given over here. First is related to your realization of that this particular place is critically important for us. Then second thing is distance from the mainland. Okay, difficulty of developing infrastructure. Third is related to the environment, then the native tribes, etc. Fourth is related to your multi-dimensional projects which are requiring the cooperation of various ministries, and which is quite difficult. Okay, and last one is related to your political gains, etc. Okay, now what should strategic infrastructure in this area should be focused on? As I told you, one thing should be related to surveillance, because most of the islands in that particular regions are basically remote islands or uninhabited islands. So that one thing is related to your surveillance, okay, and security of this particular area. Second is the strong element of deterrence should be made. Okay, so since this is the place, as I told you, if someone is attacking from the eastern side, or you can say if there is a issue with India and China in the maritime boundaries, so this can be the first line of defense, and we should make a deterrence over here so that no one can attack you at the first place. Okay, so that is getting the deterrence. Third is related to infrastructure and bolster maritime economy, since this is on the important trade route. Okay, as I told you, this is on the important trade route, so you can provide economic services, or you can say services related to maintenance of the shipments, or refueling. Other than that, there are various services which can be provided at that particular area, so that kind of infrastructure you can build over here. Okay, now next is ease of travel between the islands. As I told you, there are nearly more than 700 islands are there. There is this Andaman Islands, then we have Nicobar, Great Nicobar, okay, Car Nicobar, then this all these things are there, all these islands are there. So we are saying that there is inter-island connectivity should be there. Okay, so that the transportation communication can be strong. Okay, So that is another key. Improved transportation will help to create a sustain the tourism in the islands. Okay, so that is tourist economy you can build if there is a good connectivity. And fifth is the island dependence on the mainland support. Island is dependent on the mainland support for the supplies of food, water, gas, etc. That support should be gradually decreases. Okay. Then when we are talking about what kind of infrastructure should be prioritized, all these things which we have already seen over here, which can be you can say they have written over here, that monitored and the patrolled by the aircraft services, basically they are talking about the surveillance over here. Then ports and fuel storage must be built both on the northern and the southern group of the islands. Okay, without need to return to the Port Blair. Okay, so they are saying that there should be more ports such as the Port Blair, which can be important for the, you can say, refueling infrastructure or other infrastructure in that particular area, because if we are talking about the spacecraft etc., so people has to come back to this particular place. Okay, that is Port Blair, that is important port in Andaman and Nicobar. So that should not be the case. Other than that, station right mix of the assets at ANC. When we are talking about Andaman and Nicobar Tri Service Command, there should be asset which should be there, not only the troops but the assets, like you can say, if you want to build the deterrence, there should be weaponries, there should be a proper infrastructure which should be there. Okay, then Galathea Bay, that is basically when we are talking about the Great Nicobar in the southern part of the island. The Great Nicobar have this Galathea Bay. Okay, we have national park also over there. So Galathea Bay, that is Great Nicobar Island, transshipment port should be made over there, and maritime services such as repair, logistics must be developed for the international and the national shipping. Okay, then road network should be there, ferry services should be there, seaplane terminals should be there, pace of development should be faster, utilizing the international expertise in building the infrastructure over there. All these things can be done. Then forest and environment clearance should be made easy without any kind of red tapeism. Plant habitation should be done on the islands which are remote. Okay, or uninhabited islands are there where no one is living. There should be a planned development over there. The planned habitation should be made over there. Okay. So all these things are basically your strategic importance of Andaman and Nicobar Island, which we have already discussed. Other than that, we have already discussed about all these things related to your different islands. So please go through these particular things. Okay, other than that, we have discussed the string of pearls, we have discussed the necklace of diamond, we have discussed the double hook, double fishing hook strategy of India. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now we can move to the next part, that is related to ending polls pushes country to the black money. It will we will recede. So basically here PM is saying that the bond scheme, or you can say electoral bond scheme, which was started in 2018, but that recently in 2024 Supreme Court has basically you can say scrapped it, or said it is unconstitutional by Supreme Court. So basically now PM is saying that since this scheme was really good, okay, and because of this particular scheme, we can know that the ruling party was the party which has received the largest electronic bonds. Okay, sorry, election bonds. Okay, so the thing is, we had the data, and that is why we could tell that that is the case. Okay, now if we are scrapping this particular scheme, there should be some we will go back to the older system, which was where black money was there. Okay, so ultimately PM is saying that we could have gone for the reform. Okay, we could have learned from the mistakes, and we could have gone for the reform or the restructuring. The problem here was that this scheme was anonymous. Okay, there was this issue related to the identification of the donor. Okay, and all these things were the issues. Now we could have gone for the, you can say, reform and the restructuring of this particular thing, but we have scrapped it altogether. Okay, so ultimately we are fallen back to the older scheme, or you can say older regime, wherein we did not have any kind of record with respect to the electoral fundings. Okay, so that is what PM has said. So that is one thing. We will not go into details of electoral bonds, because we have discussed all these things many times. So if you have not read about it, please go through and please read about it, because that can be important this year. Okay, now moving further, Iran-Israel escalation could cast shadow on Indian oil trades. Okay, so basically please go through this particular article, because this was a very good article, and how things are interrelated when we are talking about the oil trade. Okay, now I'll tell you few things over here. This issue, which is recently ignited, is between Israel and Iran. Okay, now they are sending some kind of missiles over here. They have that is allegedly, people are saying that Israel has attacked on the Iran. Okay, ultimately because of all these things, this area is kind of unstable. When area is unstable politically, impact will be seen on the economics. And when we are talking about the economics of this particular area, mostly these economies are based on oil trade. Now these are the countries which are exporting oil when we are talking about Iran. Okay, other than that, if this Iran, other than that, if we are talking about this particular region, this is on the trade route. Okay, so here you can see this is your Suez Canal. So that is one trade route. When we are talking about this particular area of Persian Gulf, most of the oil is coming from this particular area of Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz over here. So this is also getting impacted because of the war in this particular region. Okay, now the thing is about the supply. There are two things when we are talking about the oil trade. There are two things when we are considering the India's scenario. One is related to supply. Okay, second is related to the price. Now if there is this particular issue of war, etc., these prices will get high. One thing, since they are on the trade routes, because of which the supply or the shipment will also get hindered, and because of which you can say the premium on the shipments, etc., will increase, the insurance premium, etc., that is increase, ultimately that will have an impact on the price. Second thing is supply constraint will be there mildly. Okay, when we are talking about from the Iran, there would be supply constraint, but when we are talking about the our oil needs, most of the oil which we kind of getting right now, that is on the discounted prices from the Russia. Okay, so we are taking it from the Russia, nearly you can say more than 40% of the oil needs we are taking from the Russia. Okay, sorry, that is nearly more than 33% of our oil needs we are taking it from Russia. And when we are talking about the other needs, that is basically 48% are basically you can say taken care of by the Iraq, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, three countries in this particular area. Okay, so this particular area is catering to our you can say oil needs, that is 48%, and Russia is catering to our needs by you can say 33%. Okay, now since issue is in this particular area, our needs will get hindered, first thing. Then second thing is from the Russia also, if we are importing it, we are importing it from this particular route. Okay, so ultimately that is also will be hindered. So now the problem is that we are saying that how this particular situation in Middle East will have an impact on the India's economy or India's oil needs. Okay, so one thing, as I told you, the supply will be constrained. Okay, but the thing is India has this diversified source of you can say you can say that we are taking oil from various countries now. Even we are considering Peninsula, USA we are taking. Okay, so ultimately our supply needs might be fulfilled by other countries. Okay, because we are not buying any oil from Iran as of now because of the US's sanctions. Okay, so that is one thing. But the thing is, when we are talking about supply side, we are saying that yes, we will get the supply because we have various diverse source. Okay, but this issue of price will be there. Okay, first of all, because of this issue in the shipment areas, there will be increase in the price, increase in the insurance premiums, etc. Then since our supply, most of the Iran's oil is given to China, and since there is a problem in Iran itself, because of which these China's you can say order or you can say China's need will be fulfilled by other countries like Russia. So China will take oil from Russia. So that will be ultimately taking out of the India's pool. Okay, so right now India is taking a lot of oil from Russia, and now China will also be there to get some oil from that. This China and India are the largest you can say importers of the oil. Okay, so India is the third largest importer. 85% of our needs are basically based on the import. Okay, so ultimately that will hinder the India's oil needs. So because of which this price will be increasing. And recently you must have heard that the oil producers have gone for the cutting in the production. Okay, so that is another reason because of which this price will get hindered. Okay, so now when we are talking about the supply side constraint, India might go for the diversification. There are various diverse options available, but the thing is this price will increase. Now if we take a look at it domestically, if we increase the price of oil domestically, that will also be a burden on the customers. Second thing is we are going through a Lok Sabha election, so there are high chances that this price increase won't be there. So ultimately it will impact the rupee, it will impact our trade deficit, it will impact the forex reserve of India. Okay, so all these things are impacted by this particular situation. Okay, now we have discussed that India is the world's third largest consumer of the oil, and 85% needs are dependent on our you can say imports. Okay, India's economy is highly sensitive, because of which our trade balance will be get disturbed, forex reserve and the value of rupees will get disturbed, and ultimately it will have a impact on the health of the economy. Okay, now prices were already seeing uptick due to the production cut by the major oil producers. Other than that, this Israel Hamas issues was there, because of which the issues were there in the Red Sea. You must know that this Suez Canal route was hampered because of the Houthi rebels. Okay, because of which these prices has already been increased. Now we are seeing problems in the Strait of Hormuz route, so that can also be an issue for us. Okay, then price could be headed to more than $100 per barrel. Okay, there was time when India has gone for the import of oil at the rate of 56, 57, 60 dollars per barrel, but now there are chances that that will get impacted. Okay, now India currently does not import oil from the Iran. As I told you, there are USA sanctions, so mostly the Iranian oil is going to China. Okay, now the thing is, we are mostly going for the Russian oil. We are going for the other can say options, that is Iraq, UAE and Saudi Arabia, etc. Okay, even we are considering Venezuela if they are going to give us discounted prices. So all these things are there. Okay, now India does buy large volume of crude oil from the western suppliers like Iraq, Saudi Arabia and UAE. Any major supply disruption in the wider region would impact the prices. Okay, so here till now we are talking about the prices only. Okay, the key things to watch out would be the conflict in the impact of the conflict on the oil shipments. Okay, when we are talking about the Strait of Hormuz, when we are talking about the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman. Okay, because most of the share of our oil is coming through this particular area. Okay, now with the Suez Canal and Red Sea route that has already been hindered because of the Houthi rebels, which I have already talked about, all Iraqi and Saudi barrels moving to India passes through the Strait of Hormuz. As I told you, this particular Iraqi and the Saudi Arabia's barrels are passing through Strait of Hormuz, which is also seeing some concerns recently. You must have heard that recently Iran has taken up a shipment from that particular area, and this shipment has some Indian crew member available in that particular shipment. Okay, in that particular ship. So very unlikely that the Strait of Hormuz would get impacted, as the tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran are not so high currently. So when we are seeing that this particular issue is there in that particular area, but this Strait of Hormuz might not get impacted, because Saudi Arabia and Iran, which are basically a contesting countries in that particular region, but right now their tensions are at low. But again, if the prices are increasing, if the issues are there because of the war situations, the prices will definitely increase. No doubt the supply side can be maintained. Okay, so that is all we have discussed, and because of which more focus would be on the prices and not on the supply, because supply might be there, but the thing is prices will be high. Okay, now we can move further. Will India so Iran has said that they will allow India to meet the people in the Iranian crew, that Iranian you can say ship which they have taken. In that there are 17 Indians, and Iran has said that we will allow the Indian representative to meet over there. Okay, so there is nothing in this article, you can go through it. Okay, so basically here as I told you, there was this ship. Okay, that ship has been taken by Iran because they thought that it is an Israeli ship. Okay, and because of which there are some people, they are of various nationality. They are Filipino, Pakistanis, Russians. Okay, they were there in that particular Estonians, and then Indians were there. Okay, so now S. Jaishankar has said that there should be a facility to meet with the Indian representative, and they have said that they should be released as soon as possible. Okay, so that is about one thing. Then when I told you about we are on the edge of a cliff, have to move away. Okay, we have discussed that in the Iran-Israel issue recently. USA has said that they do not want war. India has said that you should go for the de-escalation as soon as possible. You should not go for any kind of escalation. Okay, then Iran has said that they are done with the retaliations. They are fine with it. They will not go for any further action. Okay, but Israel is saying that they will see a good time and they might retaliate, and they will form a regional alliance. Okay, so now the thing is, even European Union has said the similar thing, that you are on the edge of the cliff and you should not go for any kind of further escalation. So that is the thing about the Iran-Israel issue, or the issue in the Middle East. Okay, now we can move further. For your own read, there is this article which is related to how 2000 senior woman from Switzerland won a landmark climate case. Okay, so recently you know that in Supreme Court has said that there is a right against the impacts of the climate change. Okay, so that is under the right to life. And similarly, there was this case in Switzerland wherein court has given in the judgment in the favor of these environmental activists. Okay, so you can go through this particular article. Okay, now we can end the session with the practice question, that is, which of the following country does not have boundaries with Iran? Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen and Iran. Okay, so I hope this you can see that is boundary with Red Sea. Okay, please edit this question. Which of the following country does not have boundaries with Red Sea? Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen or Iran? Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. And I hope your preparation for prelims is going well. You are watching the current affairs as well as MCQ practice series under Target UPSC Prelims 2024. So if you are not watching it, please go and watch this. These are high yielding series. Okay, so with that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.